Hi, I'm going to give an overview now of this high definition 4-channel 960H DVR. The model number in this is QR960D4. So basically, it's a follow-on from a previous DVR that we stocked. The big difference being is that it's twofold really. It has a much smoother user interface and much more importantly, it supports high definition. So there's a new standard called 960H. And it just means it's an analog high definition. And the great thing about this is that it'll work with existing cameras, but what it'll do also is support the new higher resolution cameras as well. But you don't have to make a decision in terms of the hybrids or moving the IP and scrapping everything you have already. But this certainly is the way of the future, simply because the picture resolution is so much better. So let's look at what comes here. So it comes in this outer box, which you can see here. It's just a nice presentation box, gives it in, and just gives an example of the difference between a 960H and I would say a 700 TVL picture, right? Just move that box out of the way for now. Just in terms of the accessories that comes with it, there's a mini CD here, and you'd use that, would say, for loading software onto your PC for a remote accessing or controlling of the PTZ, whatever, camera from your PC. There is a user manual which is in English. There's a set of AAA batteries here. There's a power source here with a very handy little LED light on it, which will tell you if you're getting power to it, because if you're troubleshooting, it's very handy to be able to know that you are getting power in your local area. There's a mouse here as well for the DVR operation, and there's also this remote control, which you can see here. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm just going to simply move these units out of the way, the accessories, and what I'll do is I'm just going to rotate the entire DVR around, if that's okay. Just hold it there for a minute, and I'm just going to walk around to the front of the desk, and we'll just go through the main points on this particular DVR. So the first thing to note is that there is a total of 4 camera inputs here. They're all BNC type connections. We have a camera out here, again, which is a BNC. We have an audio output, which is a phono type connection, and we have 2 audio ins here, okay? So marked white and red. In terms of the outputs on it, we can output, we'll say, with a HDMI output to a television. It'll carry both high definition pictures and also audio. Or VGA would be the normal way we would have done it in the past, directly to a monitor. Supports high definition, but of course is picture only, there's no audio. There's a LAN port here for obviously networking, so you can remotely view, etc. And there's a USB port here, and that's very, very handy. Simply because you can be using it for extracting recordings, upgrading the firmware, or adding on an external storage device. Next we'll come along and there's an RS485 connection here, and you can see the plus and minus. It's for the control of a PTZ camera, basically a pan tilt zoom camera, where you can use a joystick or a feature on the front of this to actually come along and be able to control this remotely and spin the camera. And then we'll note here that the power source going in here is 12 volts. And that's very important, because if we're using this in a remote location and we only had a 12 volt power source locally, we can actually power it directly off this, to power it directly. So what I'll do at this point then is I'm going to connect 3 separate things onto the DVR. So if you're ready here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spin this at an angle here so you can sort of see the inputs here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lean down and get a power unit. And I'm just going to add power, a 12 volt 2 amp power supply directly to the unit here. So I just push that in. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to come along and take the HDMI lead that's coming from this TV monitor over here and run it directly into the DVR. So the output from this box will run directly to the TV screen. And that's obviously a very easy connection, no need to complications of how to convert it. And then the final thing here is I'm going to take a picture that's aimed at the screen behind me here from this BNC cable here, and we'll just run that directly in here. Excuse me now. And what we have here then is we just have the picture basically being connected in. So what will happen here is this will boot up in a few moments. And once again, I'm going to move back out to the front here, and I'm going to talk about the display on the front of the box and different things. Initially, you just beep for a few moments when it's turned on. And what I might need to do is just grab the mouse here, because it'll bring up the installation wizard at this point. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to skip the actual installation on it. And I'm just going to click down here and say exit, and I'll say OK. So we can see here that we have 4 cameras slots on the screen here. Now if I wanted to choose camera 1, I could use the mouse to do this, I could use a remote control, but I can use a touch panel just as easily here, okay? And then I could go for screen 2, camera 2, things like this. So obviously 3 and 4, we know they're all blank. If I hit the all button here, we'll actually bring the camera back up onto the screen to forward it together. If we look at the front of the unit again, what we have here is we have in the center here, we have a circle and it's PTZ, so pan, tilt, zoom. So we know immediately if we had a camera that was PTZ, we could control it from here. Now again, we could use a joystick, all the rest of it, but it's just a really great design feature of this, the fact that we can do this directly from the touch panel on the front. There's pause and record here as well, play, but we can't because we don't have a hard drive added. But there is a menu button here which I can simply press and bring up the menu here, and then we can scroll along and bring up whatever there. So, I mean, the overall design of this in terms of the concept and how easy it is to use, certainly a huge improvement on what went before. Also, I'll say it's so easy to connect to the TV via the HDMI lead, so it means that people don't need to get, you know, VGA to SCART adapters or buy a special monitor and just connect off their TV. And the fact that it supports both the old analog, but more importantly, the new high resolution 960H analog cameras is a really great feature. If you look across the range of the DVRs that are being stocked here by IQ CCTV, the interface right across them is very consistent. So it just means once you're trained up on using one of them, if you're going to a larger or smaller job next time using a different DVR size, the actual setup will be identical. So it really is a good feature of these boxes. So that's it anyway, an overview of the HD 4-channel 960H DVR.